So tonight, we're going to be speaking a little bit about prayer in Judaism, the power of prayer. You know, they tell a story of a rabbi who gets a call from a former congregant. Calls him on the phone. "My mother is sick. I was wondering if you could stop by the hospital and pray with her, pray for her." So the rabbi says, "Sure, but I mean, to be honest with you, haven't you been praying at Rabbi Simon's synagogue lately? Why wouldn't you ask him? I'm happy to do it, but why wouldn't you just ask him to do it?" So he responds, "I didn't want Rabbi Simon to catch what my mother had. I didn't want to take the risk." In Judaism, the root word for prayer is tefillah, and the root, pei lamed, which means to join or to unite. See, in Judaism, if you remember correctly, at the beginning of the Torah, when everything else in creation is made, through those 10 utterances, what does God say? God said, "Let there be light." God said, "Let there be such and such. Let there be plants. Let there be animals," etc. When it comes to human beings, when it comes to Adam, he formed them, formed him from the dust of the earth, and then it doesn't say that he said that he should be alive. When it talks to human beings, said God breathed into him a soul. Breathed into him a soul. Everything else in the entire universe, God spoke into existence. Human beings, God breathed into existence. It's one unending breath. When someone breathes, they breathe from within. Talking is a very external way of expressing. It's a very external way of giving over of yourself. But breathing comes from within. Try talking for 10 minutes and then breathing, inhaling and exhaling for 10 minutes. You get much more tired from breathing because it comes from within. So God breathed into Adam to create him. Everything else in creation was spoken. Adam and Eve, God breathed. The soul of a human being that connected to God on such a deep level, always seeks to go back to its source. Always wants to be joined, always wants to be united. Tefillah, prayer, is the means in which we connect to God. You ever see a campfire when they have little sparks that are next to the big flaming fire? The sparks always naturally want to jump into the big fire and be consumed within it. They always want to be part of it. They always want to go back to their source. It works the same way with the soul of a person and the Almighty God. In Judaism, the Jewish people are called Yisrael. Yisrael. Yisrael can be divided up into two words. Yashar, which means straight, and Kel, which means God. Straight to God. Every Jew has a straight path to God. That straight path is prayer. Prayer is compared to the spinal cord of a person. We know in Judaism that we have 613 mitzvahs. 248 positive, 365 negative, thou shalt nots. The 248 positive mitzvahs are compared to the bones of the human body. The spiritual limbs of a human. That for when each person does all of the mitzvahs that they're meant to do, it's like they have a perfectly spiritually healthy soul. Prayer is like the backbone, the spinal cord, the nervous system of all the mitzvahs of that body. It's the foundation. It's the essence. It's what keeps everything going. In Judaism, we only pray to God. Only to God. Although there are many holy people that have been created, although there are many holy angels that do God's will, we only pray to God in Judaism. The Alter Rebbe, the first Rebbe of Chabad, said something very profound which carries tremendous meaning for the way that we should relate to God in our prayers. He said, in talking to God, I don't want your Gan Eden, I don't want your Garden of Eden, I'm not interested in your paradise, I'm not interested in your heavens, I'm not interested in your world to come, your Messianic era, I'm not interested in any of that, all I want is you. The soul of a person wants to connect to God. Everything else is irrelevant. Angels, talking to angels, praying to... We go to God. We're told in the Torah, you shall love the Lord your God and serve him with all your heart. The Talmud asks a question, what is this service of the heart? What is it? The answer is prayer. Prayer is the service of the heart. It's how we serve God. Ever hear that I'm going to services now? Where did that come from? Going to services. I'm going to the service, the mincha service. You know, they tell a story about a 4-year-old kid who goes and there's the plaques on the walls in synagogues of, you know, who donated money, who passed away serving their country. So the plaque on the wall said, here is the memory of those who died in the service. And the kid asks his father, was it mincha or ma'ariv? Service, prayer is a service. The essence of what prayer is can be summed up in a story. Today, when the military trains, it's obviously very rigorous, very hard. You have to be in shape and you have to do everything that the sergeant says. And when the general comes to visit, you better be on your best, looking your sharpest and on your best behavior. And then when the president comes, you better be even. Imagine 150 years ago and back, Russia. Before the communist revolution, when they had the Tsar. Not only was it the most respected person in the country, he was respected out of fear. You did something wrong, off with your head. He could do whatever he wanted. So they tell a story of a certain platoon one day that was practicing their marching and everything. They got word that the general, the high general, and the Tsar were going to come visit the platoon, and everything had to be perfect. Everyone's shoes had to be perfectly polished. Everyone had to be perfectly trained. So there was a few hours of rest time in order to allow everybody to get what they needed to get in order, make sure everything was perfect, their clothes were pressed, their medals were shined. So what a few of them decided to do, they'd been dirty. They'd been practicing for a long time. They were sweaty and dirty. So they decided, they're going to go take a little bath in the creek nearby. So they go to the creek. They take off, they have their clothes, they go inside. All of a sudden the trumpets sound, the Tsar is here. He's coming. So everybody scrambles, they dry off real quick, they get their clothes together, and one soldier is looking all around, he can't find his uniform. He's looking here, he's looking there, he doesn't see it, maybe someone took it, I don't know, he can't find it, maybe an animal got it. So he doesn't know what to do. If he doesn't show up, then he's dead, and if he shows up the way that he's looking, he's dead. So he figures, I might as well show up. If I don't show, they're going to for sure hunt me down. So everybody rushes up the hill. Everyone lines up at perfect attention. Medals shined, clothes pressed. And this soldier gets in line the way he was in the creek. And the Tsar walks down the row and is inspecting and looking at everybody. And then it gets to this soldier. And the Tsar doesn't know what to do with himself. He says, what's the meaning of this? This is how you come dressed? So the only thing that the soldier could think of were these words. It's not my clothing that serves you. It's not my medals that serve you. I serve you. And he saluted to the Tsar. When it comes to prayer, prayer is the time where we, who we really are, connects with God. Not the medals that we tote around. What are our medals nowadays? What kind of car we drive, what kind of job we have, what kind of house we have. Not our clothes, not our things that we classify ourselves by, or categorize ourselves by, or lift ourselves up by. It's who we are essentially. Can't hide behind the car you drive when you're praying. You can't hide who you are in this time. This is, I serve you. Prayer is service. The service of the heart. Many Torah sages in Jewish tradition, the Rambam at the forefront, says that prayer is a biblical commandment. What does it mean by prayer is a biblical commandment? The essence of prayer. Informal prayer is a biblical command. Other authorities say that it's rabbinic, but everyone agrees that prayer, at least on some degree, on some level, is a biblical command, is a biblical mitzvah. They just disagree to what extent and how often and things like that. So prayer is our communion with God. It's out of love that God established the system like this. That we, humans, creations, should be able to approach Him and talk to Him and ask Him for things and praise Him. Who are we? Anyone ever hear the expression, there are no atheists in a foxhole? Right? Meaning, when you're in trouble, everyone, no matter who you are, what you do, everyone prays to God. Given the right trouble, people start praying. It's taught in Judaism that sometimes when God wants to connect to us, He hasn't seen much connection from us lately, haven't talked to Him lately, sometimes we get a challenge in our life in order to initiate us getting closer to Him. There's a little challenge put in our way in order that we say, God, help me through this. In order that we look up. The Gemara, the Talmud in Sanhedrin teaches, Li'olam yagdim adam tefila litzara. A person should always have the prayer come before the difficulty. Don't wait for the tough time to come before a person starts praying. Connect to God on a daily basis, and you won't have as many tzaras, you won't have as many challenges because God has heard from you. He's not going to send you this extra challenge, this extra bump to get back in touch. Prayer is for everyone. Prayer is something that God accepts. Any sincere prayer from a person, rich or poor, small or short, righteous or even wicked. A person wants to make amends, a person wants to get back in touch with God, the sincere prayer is always accepted. Prayer incorporates many aspects. It's not only requests, it's also praises, it's also thanks for things that happen, it's also supplications and confessions about things that we've done. God is not our spiritual genie or ATM machine, where we just, God, I want this and I want that. It's a full package deal. In humanity, everyone, on some degree, is required to pray. One of the 7 Noahide laws for non-Jews, that non-Jews observe to fulfill their role in creation, includes belief in God. Well, one of the ways in which you show and express your belief in God is through prayer. It's encourageable for even Gentiles to pray. To God, of course. There have been certain experiments done lately. Duke University did one, Columbia University did one, on the power of prayer. What they did is they did what's called blind prayer tests. They would get a large amount of people, I think 500, 1,000, different tests, different things, And half of the people, no one knew that they were being prayed for. It was double blind. No one knew they were being prayed for, and none of the people who were praying for them knew the people personally. So out of 500 patients in the hospital, half of them were prayed for by people, and half of them were not prayed for by people. And they saw that the results that those who were prayed for were better than those who weren't prayed for. Now, some people tote this around as like, I don't know how much we should make out of the essence of it, of the actual study itself, the accuracy. There's so many variables that can be considered. There's so many things that we need to take into account. What I'm more impressed at than the actual results of the test is the fact that even in the medical field now, even in secular academic medical study, it's not taboo to talk about prayer. More and more people are catching on to the idea that this is a real thing. This is something that works. This is something that has purpose and meaning. Many of us don't consider the power of what we have inside. We have a soul. We have an infinite soul. It says about the human body, everyone knows that matter and energy are the same things expressed in different ways. That's Einstein's theory of relativity. If you were to take the energy that's contained in the average mass of the human body, you end up with 100,000 atomic bombs. Atomic bombs that blew up Hiroshima, blew up Nagasaki, 100,000 times more powerful than the bombs that blew up those places. Enough to destroy the entire world. So if that's what even your body has, and physical energy, imagine what your soul has in spiritual energy. Someone God breathed a breath of life into them. Imagine the tremendous power that we have. So the question is, now that we know a little bit about what prayer is, why do we pray? Why is it that we pray? If God already knows what's best for me and what's good for me, I'm going to get it anyway. If I deserve it, God's going to give it to me anyway. And if I don't deserve it, He's not going to give it to me. So why do I have to ask for it? Find out next time.